Philosophy is for people who like to have things explained, even things explained, uh, even having why something hasn't been explained. I'm not the greatest philosopher in the world, but I know some of the dialogue that goes into philosophy pertains to um, absolute forms and then recurrence of absolute forms. For example, you see on my head is a hat. And when you say hat, it applies to other hats. So the word describes a form, and then you have recurrences of this absolute form. Signifiers, people debate what they signify. Like, does John mean all Johns or just one specific John? Does what we know about DNA is that a black person may not resemble a white person in terms of skin color, but may much more closely identify with them in terms of their DNA structure than virtual twins. And so, what I do suspect in terms of philosophy is when things get jumbled and see people sometimes. It's not to say that if I don't understand something, it doesn't make sense, but people sometimes believe that because they understand something, therefore it is true. Like some people believe that humans are incarnates of primary forms and that we should be more concerned with primary forms. And this gives rise to the idea of a monarchy being legitimate over a democracy. I'm very suspicious of the idea that, you know, when hunger is used as a weapon, when food is used as a weapon, that a person who's full of dogma can legitimize it by saying there's not enough to begin with. There's going to be social conflict anyway. It's contradiction, it's deliberate manufacture of scarcity. There's not enough cars to go around, therefore we shouldn't have mass transit. Doesn't make any sense. The idea of sustainability depends on making an effort for sustainability. And these arguments that don't make any sense attack the root of the idea of the premise that we should be working for sustainability. Anyway, obviously we should be. Common sense, Berkeley says, is what should rule. And of course, Berkeley's right about that. People confuse loyalty with morality. People should never veer from common sense. That's what should rule the world is common sense. Well, people who know my sad story realize that one of the things that first got me concerned about a weird mystery in Pittsburgh was that the men who attacked me in 73 or so were named Ronnie and Casper. Ronnie and Casper, Reagan, Weinberger didn't appear on the public dimension until 79 to 80 when they came into power. How could these backwater people in Pittsburgh know about Ronnie and Casper in 73 and 74? So they got a man named Ronnie Zinski, Casper Owlski, to torture me. And then they denied it and they lied. That didn't help. So, but it gets interesting when you look at the names. I haven't done this before, but if you look at the names Elizabeth and Charles, you find that Elizabeth, one woman named Elizabeth, her last name combines with a Mussolini-like last name in the neighborhood to create Blumenmemes. And, there was a lot of double talk about drugs from the British in those days, but they say it's not hypocrisy, it's a double standard. The MK Ultra in the MI6, one case attacks American children, the other is a British spy master. So you have this idea that it's not hypocrisy, it's a double standard, and there should be a double standard because the British are our superiors. And one of them was another pair was Elizabeth and Charles Penrose. Since the issue is letters that were sent from the initials GB, like George Bush in Great Britain, you see that Charles and Elizabeth Penrose are an interesting combination. And one of the golf magnates involved went to a place called Penfield Downs. So you see the use of the word pen in storytelling. And these this Elizabeth and Charles people had something going with the Billy Club. Billy Flynn, Billy Rod, and Billy Beck. Billy Rod and Elizabeth would get into it a bit. So you have these name signifiers. Like there was a team called the Royals, and the manager was really, really mean. And that team called the Padres in Little League, where the manager was really, really nice. And of course, since I ended up on the Royals, I ended up getting battered because the Royals didn't like me. I mean, I'm not a Royal. There was an English kid who said, if Billy Rod was making fun of him, and he said, if you don't stop making fun of me, I'm going to have to start getting nasty. And he lived in the direction of Edward Oz and Helene Kessler. So you have this little showboat going with these name signifiers, and it gets very interesting to see the way they put together a Stratego board. Jeff Thompson, who was the um, genius in the step family, had a solitaire game that you take out all the aces, start at twos, and you work your way through suits to kings. It's a strategic solitaire game. But taking out the aces is what they did with the Texas schoolbook. And you have this sharking outfit of leaders playing poetry cards, and they used me as a dummy. There's nothing to, and it's threadbare. I mean, they're claiming, oh, you spoke unfavorably here, you spoke unfavorably there. All I did was interpret evidence in public. I didn't give any orders to hurt anyone. And it's ridiculous to keep pointing fingers. And they say, well, we owe it to the game's spirit to settle the scores, to clear the air. No, you don't know any. There is no game spirit. It's hocus pocus. The people who put on this whole performance art of Elizabethan theater, some WQED and so forth like that in Pittsburgh, should be told that we have standards of evidence and review in the politics isn't about appropriating the right to take the law into your own hands. I certainly don't. And they're making it sound like I do. I certainly don't.